Hey everyone, Mr. Couch here, back with another video, and today I would like to sit down and talk about Mount and Blade Warband 12 years later, after playing Bannerlord. Quick disclaimer, Mount and Blade is in probably my top 3 favorite franchises of all time, and in this review I'm going to be comparing it to Bannerlord, as well as other modern games, and with that out of the way, let's continue with the review. We're going to begin by talking about battles and tactics. For starters, while better than the original game, Warband's battles feel less like large medieval engagements and more like small skirmishes. Probably because of the small agent count that can often lead to a break of immersion, and it generally, at least in my opinion, makes battles much less interesting. The other problem with battles, well, specifically sieges, that Bannerlord fixes is siege engines and equipment in Warband. The quote-unquote siege engines are just invincible siege towers and immovable ladders, and the defense doesn't even get anything. My last gripe with the battles is troop commands and strategies. You can't even form a shield wall. Bannerlord's, again, is much better in this regard, but all you need to know is Warband severely lacks commands that you can give your troops. The next thing we're going to talk about is the legendary strategy map. This is where the game starts to get good. The tactics and strategies are endless, especially once you either make your own kingdom or become the marshal of an existing one. This is where, in my opinion, Warband really shines, and is even better than Bannerlord. As a marshal, you can, of course, form an army, but more importantly, you can tell them to patrol around an area, raid a village, and even warn them that enemies are coming so they can retreat. The next thing we're going to talk about is unit balancing. Oh, the horror in this section. Yeah, I stand by that sound effect and font. Yes, the unit balancing and troops are absolutely awful. Cavalry will kill everything that isn't on a horse. And really, the only two viable factions are Swadia and Rodux, with Nords probably being in third. I swear, these 3 factions are the only ones that practically ever gain significant ground in your average campaign. Like, why can't the Vaegrs win a campaign or something for once? The Swadian Knights will kill everything and everyone. The Rodux will defend against anything, and the Nords are good at besieging and defending from sieges. The rest can barely do anything, and not because they're bad or aren't interesting, it's just that these 3 are way too overpowered, and thank God that Bannerlord is more balanced. Now we have the role-playing aspect of the game. I don't have a ton to say about this, so I'll just quickly gloss over it. You can sort of roleplay, but not really beyond Warlord go brrr. One other thing I would like to quickly talk about is the graphics. This time I'll make it even quicker. Ew. For the time, this game's graphics are awful. And by modern day standards, they're even worse. But at least for me, unless it hurts to look at the graphics in games like this, they don't change the experience. At least for me. The last thing I'm going to talk about is late game content. Okay, I'll stop with the horror sound effects. Not really. But the late game content, or lack thereof, is pretty bad, and is probably the biggest problem with Warband. I can look past everything else if this was better, but it's not. Diplomacy is non-existent, finances are easy to pay, and whenever you give a fief to another lord, everyone who didn't support that person, which most of the time everyone just supports themselves anyway, will have a significant drop in relations towards you, which is a huge problem, and it gets to the point where you can only have like a maximum of 5 lords in your kingdom at once, or everyone else will hate you. And with that, I think that concludes this review. of course, here is an overall score and just an overview of everything else. And with that, peace.